I am your host, Positive Nate, and I am so excited that you are joining me today with our special guest, Jermaine Singletary. Hey, Jermaine, how are you?
Hey, how are you? I'm doing great. Thank you.
Jermaine Singletary, he is a teacher, he's an author, he's been highlighted in print and in his community, and he is the Chief Executive Officer of Binding Ties. Jermaine, is there anything else you'd like us to know about yourself?
Well, that kind of wraps it up all in a nutshell. Basically, I enjoy teaching. I've been teaching for over 18 years at an alternative school. That's where a lot of young men are actually needed for the type of community that we're dealing with now. It's been a pleasure to be able to help those students and their families out. And with Binding Ties, I started back in 2009. And actually, what prompted me to do it is my affiliation with being connected with the alternative school, being that there weren't funds coming in for the students from the schools and from the state, from the government. I decided to go about and start my nonprofit and actually go out into the community and actually develop incentives and different things to help the kids and their families.
Awesome. Keep going. That is awesome. As a CEO of Binding Ties, you challenge others to be a giver, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And by the time this show airs, you will have returned from your Bridging the Gap Youth Project. Where is this project taking Binding Ties, and what are you looking for most with this initiative?
Well, it's actually linking up with a lot of other nonprofits. We actually rank up with Ronika Dr. Rowe. She was the founder of Blacks in Nonprofits, and actually we're linking up with a lot of nonprofits. We're going to Dubai and Tanzania, Africa. And it's like a multicultural thing. You're able to look at different cultures. We have a summit there, a conference where we'll actually meet with other nonprofit organizations. So, the goal is basically to try to get that global recognition and kind of network globally. Because even though we're here in the United States, there's also some help that we can get from other global networks.
Definitely hope that journey for you and the other nonprofits is a great success, and that your mission is fulfilled once you go over there. I believe that giving back is purpose. And not only is it purpose, but it's an extension of God's love.
Yes, it is.
And you know what? I love to read. So you're an author.
Yep, the We and Me.
All right.
And
you have a second book coming out.
Yeah, the second book that I have actually be out. It's called Scorn Not Torn. And when you look at it, it's an incredible book of a father/husband, in his faith. It's like when you test with adversities, what do? Do you conform with society, or do you do what's right? And, society has subjected young men, I don't even have to say just young Black men, but men in general, when you're going through a divorce, when you're going through struggling situations, trying to gain custody of your kids, it's just a real hassle when you're trying to deal with society and trying to deal with the system per se. So when you read that book, you'll be very surprised. If you didn't have faith, you could break down real easily. And I can understand that with a lot of men and women, how it's going on in America right now. And this would be a good book to read.
Okay, yeah. And one of our initiatives here with Just a Moment of Clarity is educating on supervised visitation. And supervised visitation usually comes as a result of child custody cases, which can come from a divorce or separation, a severed romantic relationship. Is when supervised visitation can come in. And your second book, Scorn Not Torn, talks about your determination to gain custody of your children. Tell us more about that.
That's a real struggle. I'm sure you know about the guardian ad litems. It's sad when you have to look at people coming outside of your home to kind of judge what's right for your kids. Someone that's never been around your kids, know nothing about your kids, know nothing about your lifestyle, but then they come into your home and they kind of tell you where your kids should be placed, what your kids should be doing. But I stood strong with my beliefs. I wanted to educate my kids. I wanted to keep them off the streets. Kids have never really been written up in school, making A's and B's. So, I still had to stand firm regardless of what I was going through in the divorce. I still had to be firm with my kids because, I work at an alternative school. I see what happens when you have lack of parenthood, when you have lack of guidance. And I didn't want that for my kids. So I had to stay firm regardless of what society said.
Awesome. Standing firm. I think that's a big role that the parents have to play in a relationship. You mentioned guarding ad litem. Yes, that's definitely a tough role to play in these family situations. And over some of the information about your book about the consequences on children and parents. So I quote, you saying that the injustice of the legal system causes consequences for children and parents. Can you share a little bit about a consequence that children and parents experience because of first the injustice of the legal system?
When you look at it, when you're going through a divorce like that, they tend to want the parents to separate. So you got to spend some time apart. All my kids' life, they were about maybe 9, 10. It was 2 of them, and one was about 12 years old. And when you split a kid up like that, who's been seeing his father every day, his father been involved in his life every day, in all the sports and everything. So, when it's split up, it not only hurts the mother and father, but it also hurts the kid because now you have this separation and kids are wondering, well, what's going on? And now they're trying to take sides. My goal was to not have my kids take sides, but in a way, you can't, you can't control what ends up happening in a situation like that. So basically, it separates the mother and father more, and it also kind of puts the kids at a certain point where you really don't want to put them. You want them to be able to love both regardless.
I understand. And it is definitely a tough situation, and you don't want your children to take sides. And and as adults, we shouldn't want our children to take sides either. But we can only control what we can control, right?
Correct.
And it sounds like you stood firm and you had control over what you can handle. So give some advice to single fathers out there who are being hindered for spending time with their children because their romantic relationship ended. And instead of fighting and standing firm and controlling what they control, they just take a complete hands-off approach and just give up. What advice would you give them on being present in their child's life during this difficult time?
Yeah, I've got to say, you just got to remain there. You've got to keep being present, regardless of the situation. I know it's hard. I know it's tight. There's been time that my kids ended up turning against me because of what the other person may have said, but I still had to hold firm as a father and show them that I love them. Sometimes you have to show firm love. Sometimes you just have to do that, but you can't give up. You can't just throw away the key and say it's all over. You just have to give it time, continue to pray, and then God will work things out. That was my situation. One thing I thought I'd never have to do is spend time away from my kids and separate from the mother of my kids. So, in a marriage of almost 15 years at that moment, that was kind of tough.
Mm-hmm. So how's everything now? How are you and your children doing now?
Everything is going well. Even when you read this book, Scoring Not Torn, it doesn't end the situation. Once the battles in court and everything ended, as far as divorce, it still never ended. Still had to go to court because I had to fight a lot of things for the mother. When you get down to the visitation things, that's not ever right. It's never going to be right. Somebody wants more, somebody wants less. It just continues to go. So, it was a real struggle. I don't want to tell most of it because, that'll be in book number 2, which you'd have to check out. But our relationship right now, I just helped my oldest son who graduated from College of Charleston, helped him move to Atlanta just yesterday, and have my other son who's with his mom now. He graduated from Orangeburg Wilkinson, and he'll be going to Claflin College. So he was with me this weekend, helping his brother out. So the relationship has gotten a lot better, but I had to do something in this relationship where I just had to step out.
Mm.
Sometimes you want to put your hand on it, and it's sort of like God telling you something. You know, he tells you, hold on, wait, you know, you don't need this. And you know how sometimes we just continue to move forward. We kind of don't listen to what's being told us. So I kind of like had to take my hands off of things. And it became better by me taking my hands off of it because I was trying to force the issue. And sometimes you just can't do that, especially with kids.
Especially with kids. I heard step off a little bit, take your hands off, but you did not quit. You didn't give up. You stood firm. You control what you can control. So I think, you know, that's a true message of scorn, but not torn.
And that's the basis of the book. You know, a scorn, you can get scorn, it could heal. But, you know, over time, you know, you tear your ligament, something like that. It's a long uphill battle and you may never be the same again. But with scorn, you can always bounce back. So I was scorned, but not torn.
I love it. Purchase, where can your book be purchased from? Scorn Not Torn, or your first book, The We and Me?
Well, both of them are actually worldwide. You go on Google, you Google We and Me, Jermaine Singletary, Google Scorn Not Torn. It's on print on demand, so you can go to Barnes and Nobles, the bookstores. They can order it for you and it'll be shipped to your home. Or you can go to bookbaby.com. BookBaby, you can order it directly from them. They'll print it and send it out to you. So, you know, I don't care what country you're in or wherever you are, you can order it. Just go on Google. It's everywhere. It's available in print and it's available on ebooks.
I love it. I love it. And if someone wanted to donate to Binding Ties, how would they make that donation?
They can go to www.bindingtiesinc.com. Okay. That's BINDINGTIESINC, bindingtiesinc.com.
Okay, awesome. And is there also with your GoFundMe information for your upcoming?
Yes, you can find GoFundMe there, or you could just go to GoFundMe, type in Binding Ties. It'll pull up our organization and what we're doing.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jermaine, for tuning in. I'm sorry for being our guest today. But before we wrap up, I do have a little game that I want to play with you.
Okay, I'm down for it.
Down for it? I love it. I love it. Okay. So we call this segment of our show, Let Me Be Clear. So I'm going to give you a statement.
Okay.
And you will either answer the question or fill in the blanks. And we're going to use these cards here as your parting words to our listening and viewing audience. Does that sound good?
Okay.
All righty. Let me be clear. Let me be clear on giving. What does it mean to be a giver, and why should someone give?
To be a giver is to actually be able to come from your heart. You don't want to give and have grudges and everything about it. When you want to give from your heart. So when it comes from your heart, it's a real gift. And sometimes it doesn't necessarily have to be a monetary thing. It doesn't have to be physical. It could just be given from a heart, just being there for somebody, being that ear to listen, being that voice to talk to them. So giving can be anything that's pleasurable to the other person to actually help them through times of situations.
I love it. And I love especially being a listener, because in these days and times, so many of us just need someone to listen to us. We don't necessarily need you to fix the problem or say, well, that was me, I should have, would have. No, just listen. Part of giving is listening, and it doesn't always have to be monetary. That is so true. All right, we got one more for you.
Okay.
Let me be clear on fatherhood. What does it mean to be an active father?
Being an active father is being there physically, mentally, and being there for your kid in all types of situations and needs. You can't just say, hey, I'm going to throw money at you. You can't just say, okay, I'm going to spend a day with you. You've got to be there 24/7. A person like me, and the world knows, everybody that knows me and the kids, I'm there 24/7. You know, I don't hang out with the fellas a lot. I don't go partying. Although I was a music artist back in the days, I still took care of home. My goal was anything that I didn't want it to interfere with me and my family. So therefore, if I had to do large projects, I would work while others were sleeping. So while my kids and everybody sleep, I'd be up working. That way it doesn't affect their time with me during the daytime.
Awesome, awesome. Definitely being active whenever your children need you and being available even when they don't need you at that moment, but they know that you're accessible. That is awesome. You know, one of my favorite rappers who happens to be Jay-Z,
okay,
he has a lyric that says, "You can't be a rich man if you don't take care of your family." And it sounds like you are a very rich man.
Yes, and that's what makes the most of me, just spending time with family.
Absolutely love it. And I am so, again, appreciative of you taking time out of your schedule to come in and spend some moments with me and my listeners today.
Well, I want to thank you for having me.
Oh, it was my pleasure. It was, and once again, everyone, this is Jermaine Singletary, the Chief Executive Officer, teacher, and author of Scorn Torn and the We and Me. I am Positive Nay, and we'll see you again in just a moment.